So the last few months, we've talked to literally hundreds of teams about their XR programs and the challenges they face. And I think the thing that surprised us is that there's a couple basic problems that teams, even early on, face that become existential problems as they get bigger and as things scale. And one of the most basic problems that has yet to be solved is understanding who is in the headset, being able to authenticate, and having visibility on what they're doing in the headset. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you don't know what they're doing, you don't know, first off, you don't know who it is. Could have been, just anybody picking up the headset. And maybe there's like multiple headsets in the room and they get cross-matched, right? So like tracking who's on which headset at a given time is important. And then knowing what they're doing, really important. And not just did they pass or fail, but how long did it take them to accomplish certain tasks? How many retries? How many fails? All these things really matter. And we know this through learning. We've tracked this many, many times, that the number of retries, the number of fails, they all give you a story about this learner. And these things are all critical when you're measuring outcomes.
Talk about first just what it looks like to meet requirements for a learning program, and then beyond just meeting a basic requirement around did somebody do X or Y, pass or fail? What does it look like to actually prove ROI for a new technology like VR and how it's being used for learning?
I think a lot of folks go into the pilot phase of things just trying to see like if people like it, as opposed to having real measurables. And so it's kind of the how you start is going to matter dramatically to how you finish, and if this is going to be a success or failure. And so if you start off with just like, let's see what the vibe check is, and let's say the vibe check is great. Now you've wasted a whole bunch of time not having actual measurables from the outset. So I think it's crucial to have measurables from the outset. How do they perform? How long does it take them to get from this task to this task? How often do they have to retry before they're successful? These sort of things will help you refine the content and prove outcomes. And that way, in the long run, when you're measuring it ROI, what folks want to see is, how does this compare against the traditional training models? Do the learners actually retain better? So they retake in 6 months. They want to see those outcomes. And if you're not measuring from the outset, you're going to lose that time.
How are companies today trying to solve this problem?
There's been a variety of solutions. We've seen folks literally saving to the headset and then having to plug in the headset to download data that was recorded. We've seen certain developers kind of build one-off solutions or custom integrations for the one customers. But the problem is they're a little one-off. And if you've got multiple pieces of content, you may have multiple different solutions. So it's a little chaotic at the moment.
Talk a little bit about the pitfalls or the problems with current solutions.
I think right now, one of the pitfalls that I've seen is that the developers that are trying to solve some of these tracking issues are solving it in their silo for their product. And the problem is when you get to be dealing with multiple pieces of content, you're going to have multiple different paths to get to your data. So each application saving it differently creates a real headache. And the only way to do this is with custom content. And I think that gets very expensive. So if you're constantly having to build custom content just to get data collection, that becomes a problem.
So from your perspective, what does an ideal solution look like to these problems?
So I think an ideal solution is really one tailored around filling in the gaps, right? We don't need to recreate every wheel. We don't need to recreate an LMS for XR. We need to fill in the gaps. And we had some gaps on just a standardized data collection and then a bridge to the LMS. Those are the things that need to get solved. And that's really why we designed Arbor XR Insights the way we did.
What does the Arbor Insight solution look like for these problems?
Arbor XR Insights provides very simple SDKs for the developers to start collecting data, getting it to our back end. From there, bridging it to where it needs to go. So if it needs to go into the LMS, we have the pathways for that. We have the integrations there. If it needs to get into your business intelligence tools, we have the pathways to that. If you just want to do analytics in simple dashboards, we have that as well.
It's always really been the mission of Arbor XR to make enterprise deployments seamless for XR, which means critical infrastructure. So talk a little bit about that piece. How does this provide critical infrastructure to building XR programs?
The critical infrastructure is around being agnostic to everything else, right? I don't really care what type of headset you're using. I don't care how you're building it. If you're, on a Meta headset, on a Pico headset, it doesn't really matter. All of those are fine. We're just building the infrastructure for all of these pieces to send in their data into the same place and then get it out. We don't have to build an LMS. We don't have to have custom solutions. We're building the bridge between all of these disconnected parts so that they can be connected and do it in a agnostic fashion, device agnostic and development environment agnostic.
Yeah, so Insights makes it possible for an XR program to be stitched into the larger learning program. XR isn't in a silo anymore. It's just another tool that the L&D team has, or the innovation team has, or the HR team has, and they can use it seamlessly with all the existing teams and systems. That might mean the IT team being able to see an endpoint and be able to do inventory management, or manage a device and add Wi-Fi configurations, or that might be, a trainer being able to verify that somebody's actually, passed or completed something, or it might be a developer who's able to create better content because they have that kind of analytics that gives them an understanding of where people struggle. And of course, for the user, maybe most importantly for the user, they put on the headset and it's a beautiful, seamless experience. They go in, they log in where they do for all their other training. They're watching videos, they're reading text. It's time to do your VR training module. You put your headset on, you type in a 6-digit PIN, and you're off and running. It's simple, it's easy, and it's stitched into the existing employee experience. It isn't something that's siloed outside of it. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. And that's really the goal here is we want to have XR as just an extension of everything else they're already doing. It's just an additional modality. It's an additional option for the training content, but not for the flow, not for the workflow. It should fit right into the existing workflow.
For more, click the link below to learn how Arbor XR Insights can help your organization scale XR training with proven analytics.